It's time to hit the road with another edition of the Savvy Scrapbookers. Hi, I'm Donna Guest, the Lazy Scrapbooker, and welcome to this month's edition of the Savvy Scrapbookers. That's when my friends Debbie Martin, Nicole and I get together and we split up one paper pack and one embellishment pack and make 6 pages for you. This month, it's hit the road and it couldn't come at a better time. I've been working on a pair of albums for my husband and son's 15-day road trip last summer where they saw 12 baseball games throughout the East Coast. So Hit the Road is going to be perfect for some of my pages. Let's get started. Here are the papers that I'll be using for this layout. I've got 4 pieces, of course. We've got the green with the traffic signs. We've got the gray asphalt with these roads. We've got the blue with the license plates, and we have the red that has this beautiful road that I'm actually not going to be using. Then I picked these embellishments, and I don't know that I'll use them all, but we've got several to choose from. Here are the tools we'll need to complete my 2 pages. Of course, we'll need the Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer. We'll need micro tip scissors. This piece is optional. If you have the road trip border punch, we can add it at the bottom of page 2. Then we'll need regular tape runner and definitely repositionable tape runner. If you're using repositionable for this right here, we're going to need a silicone mat or wax paper or parchment paper out of your kitchen. We're going to start with our left-hand side of the layout, and that's going to be using this green sheet of paper right here. We'll put the other ones aside, and this is the one that has the road sides on one side and the green on the other. We're going to make a frame, and this is an excellent use of paper. It keeps your scrapbook light and saves lots of paper. I'm going to do a 1-inch frame. Believe me, that is the easiest measurement to do with this. If you do fractions, it makes it a little bit more complicated. So here are a few things you want to make sure you know about the Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer. First, there is a ruler going down the aluminum track right here. Next, on the cartridge housing right on the side, this white line here tells you where your blade is. Then the distance between the blade, this white line, and the edge of the cartridge housing is exactly 1 inch. That's helpful because as you go down this aluminum track, you really can't see where the blade is because it's covering that up. So if I see my edge of my cartridge housing at 3 inches, I'll know the blade is at 2 inches. So we're going to cut a 1-inch frame here. Doesn't matter which side you look at. I think it's maybe a little bit easier for me to look at this green. Not so distracting. So I'm going to push it over here at the 1-inch mark, and it is much easier when you push small measurements over to the right here, especially if you're right-handed. But for doing this, let's all stick with the same direction. So I'm going to start at 1 inch, and that means the edge of my cartridge housing is at the 2-inch mark. So I'm going to press down and cut. And I'm not stopping until I'm 1 inch from the bottom. So that means my blade is going to be at 11 inches and the edge of my cartridge housing is going to be at 12 inches. The top is at 10 inches. And so I've now cut that right there. Then we're going to turn it 1 time and we're going to do the exact same thing. And I've taught this before and other people have taught this before. So you may have seen this, but if it's new, it's a great technique to learn. Turn it again. Usually I like to edit out repetitive things like this in my video, but I'm not going to edit this out. It can't hurt me showing this 4 times. Check it out. We're almost done. So don't mess up at this point. We're going to turn it 1 more time, and then I'm going to again start the blade at 1 inch. The edge of my cartridge housing is at 2. And I'm going to come all the way down to where the edge of my cartridge housing is at the 10 up here, the 12 down here, the blade's at the 11. And now check it out. Very cool. So I'm going to make sure this is turned the right way. So here's what we have. And I'll flip it over like this. Now, if you are scrapbooking directly on a traditional scrapbooking page with a jeeping on each side, you can go ahead and attach it right to the page. Well, we'd be on the left-hand side, so we'd go like this, attach, and attach. Okay, easy enough. If you do not scrapbook this way, or if you don't know exactly where this page is going to go yet, we're going to use the good technique of welding. So let me do that really quickly here. So I'm going to make sure it's positioned as I like. And if you do your cuts right, there's not going to be any gaps around there, and I don't see any. Then it's best to grab some white scratch paper. I have this leftover strip that is 3 inches wide from teaching a class. So you know what? I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces. It's 3 inches now. That's going to be 3/4 of an inch. If you have something bigger, all you need is an inch of paper. I'm just going to go even skinnier than that and use 3/4 of an inch. So I have 4 strips. Another thing that we want to do, and I should have done this before, is cut about a 1/2 inch or so off of that. The reason why is that our cardstock is a teeny tiny bit longer than our designer paper, like a millimeter, but it can show. So we make those a little bit shorter for this welding. Now, this is the front right here because I want the pattern to be on the outside and I want the solid to be right here where the photos are going to go. So I'm going to take this and just flip it over like this. And then again, make sure everything is centered and there are no gaps. Looks good. Now we're going to take our regular tape runner. I like the regular on this because I feel like it works a little bit better because it's so super sticky. And it comes off in a nice big piece of tape, unlike the repositionable that comes off in dots. So what I'm going to do, I'm holding it steady and I'm going to put tape right here and here. And I'm putting tape all the way around. Pretty generous amount of tape. You know, when I do this, it basically, I'm running out. There's the red. I thought it felt kind of weird. Okay, pause. If you've never changed the tape for a Creative Memories tape runner, watch how easy this is. Let me go grab some tape. And I'm back. We put the cartridge in just like this. The big white piece goes down onto those little tabs there, and you close it. Done. And now I'll continue. Oops. I got out of line on that one. I'm going to have to make sure it's covered. Okay, now look, it's pretty sturdy now, but we've got to cover that up or we're going to stick this to everything. So I'm just going to use our scraps right here that we cut off to make sure we stick that. Oh, I can still cut a little bit more off of that. Make sure you cover all the tape. Ta-da! Check it out. Welding, and look at this beautiful page we've made. It's perfect. So later, when you're done with it and you're ready to put it down, you can attach it just like this to your scrapbook page, or if you use a slide-in, top-loading, single pocket page, you can just slide this in. So we're going to move this page out of the way that we've created for the left-hand side and grab the red sheet of paper. Now this is the one with this beautiful image on the back that we're actually not going to use. That's great for a title page though. We're going to flip it over, and this is the direction it should be. These are those little destination icons that you'll see in a map. I actually had to Google and see which direction they were. It's the rounded part at the top and the point at the bottom. I wasn't sure. I was thinking they were like a teardrop, but nope, they're like this. So when in doubt, look at the other side and just turn it this way. All right, so that's going to be our base. Then we're going to take the blue sheet of paper, and that's the one with a license plate on the side. And we're going to make a few cuts on this one. We're going to cut vertically like this, right down the license plates. First, we're going to cut at 1 1/4 inch. That leaves you 2 grid marks over here. Then we're going to cut 1/2 inch. That's to the first grid mark on your trimmer. We're going to use the blue side for that. All right, we'll set this aside now. Now take the asphalt paper. Now with this one, we're going to be doing some cuts this way to cut out that little road that you saw that goes across the pages. To make the most of our paper, let's turn the paper this way. Doesn't matter what it looks like on this side, it's just asphalt. We're going to turn the paper this way where you've got the road dotted lines over here and you've got these solid lines over here. So it's important that you turn it this way so that we make the most of the paper and we get the most out of it when we go to make our photo mats. So I've got the 2 yellow solid lines going down this way. We're going to put those over at 1 1/4 inch and trim that off. So let's put this aside for right now. We'll come back to this. Now with these pieces, we're going to use the asphalt and you're going to cut it at 4 inches and then cut it again at 4 inches. We're going to do the same thing for our license plates. You could make this border wider if you wanted to, but I wouldn't make it any more narrow. I think 1 1/4 gives it a nice width so you can actually really tell their license plates. All right, now we're going to use our repositionable tape runner, and that's important so we know we get it right. And we're going to piece this together. And I'm going to go down with some asphalt. I love this asphalt paper. It's so cool. Any kind of texture like that I always like. And so I'm going right up to the edge, alternating the pieces. I gotta say, this is not my laziest layout. I know I'm the lazy scrapbooker, but this one is taking me a few more minutes to do, and it will take you a few more minutes to do, but it's easy. Maybe not the fastest, but it is very easy. And so we're alternating the patterns here and making sure to get the license plates right side up so that you can read it and they're not upside down. All right, there's our fun little border, and we're gonna cap that off with this blue 1/2 inch strip. And I'm not going to cover any of it. I'm just going to get right up next to it so that no red is showing through. So we've got our little border there. Wonderful. And it gives us plenty of room for our photos. And of course, you can really do these pages with any number of photos that you like and any size photos that you like. I just want to create a nice canvas for you to work with. All right, next we're going to take our asphalt paper back again. We're going to flip it over and look at this road. So we want to cut out with the road. We're going to go from this white line here, and then we're going to have black, yellow, black, white, dotted, and so forth. So it's easier to show you than it is to tell you. Okay, so we're not going to cut at this white line. We're going to cut over at this white line. So it's about 3/4 inches in. We don't waste too much, but I don't want to get the white in there. I want to try to cut that off. Great. So I went 2 white lines over. Okay. So that's where we are right there. And now we're going to turn this around and we're going to make a mirror image. So the dotted line's the center. We have white, then we have yellow, and then black. So I'm going to cut inside, just inside this little skinny white line right here. Okay. And that's the goal right there. That's what you want to end up with. So we're going to do that again. And that's just the next piece allows us to do that. So I'm going to come over to the inside of this white line here. Wonderful. Now, this one, as you can see on the red, does have a little bit of white up there. So I'm going to try to trim off just that little sliver. Just a teeny little sliver there, if it'll let me. Wow, that's pretty perfect. Can you even see that? It's like a hair. So look how perfect these are now. They're identical. Our little roads there. So now grab the first page that we did for the left-hand side, and then we've got our right-hand side page. Usually I have more symmetrical designs in this. These are completely different and can almost be standalone pages. However, they're very coordinated, and it's this road that's going to tie it all together. So the next thing I want you to grab, and you're going to laugh at this, but I want you to grab a scrapbook that's already completed from your shelf, if you have one. I just grabbed my beach vacation from 2016. Okay, here's why I'm doing this. If we put the pages together like this and line up our road, it's not going to be right because pages are split apart when they're in the album. Whether you're using traditional album pages or if you're using the slide-in single pocket pages, either one, it will work. If you go grab a scrapbook, if you have it, that's already completed. Here we go. So I've got my jeeping there, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these just down on top of the page protectors. I'm not attaching them, but I'm just using this as a frame of reference, a measurement, because that's how much space we have in there. You know, I could measure that and see if you don't have a scrapbook, this is how much space you need to leave in between it. It's exactly 3/4 inches. Okay, that's helpful information. It's exactly 3/4 inches between these two pages to allow for that. All right. Easy enough. So the first thing we're going to do is going to place these. You want them going off both edges. You don't want to do like this where part of it is still showing the page underneath. It needs to come all the way across. So I'm going to start with this one over here, and I'm just going to do like this. There is no right or wrong answer with this. There is no particular way. You can do them like this, you can do them like that, but I'm just kind of doing almost a 45-degree angle. So I'm just going to add some repositionable on this. I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm just going to kind of cross this off both pages. Okay, so it's completely hanging off this side. It's completely hanging off this side. Now I'm going to move this one back into place. And again, they're 3/4 inches apart. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Got some repositionable tape on it. And I want to make sure that my roads are lining up. So you see how I did that? I don't want to attach them, I really don't. But they're lining up perfectly. So that's the purpose of the scrapbook. So we can put that away now. Oh, look at my sweet baby. He was just 11 then. So while these pages are completely different, it's the road that ties it all together, just for a fun little look. Now we're going to flip these over. You can either use your micro tip scissors or you can use your trimmer, lining it up on the cutting line right here, which is the left one, and just trim that excess off. We're going to have to do that 4 times. Let's do this one. Oh, I don't think I got close enough on that. Let me get that a little bit more. There we go. Perfect. One more. You really line up the edge of your paper right on that cutting line. It is so easy to do. That is a really clean cut there. All right, let's see what the results look like. I love it. Let me measure this. Make sure it's 3/4 inches away from each other. Perfect. So when this is in the scrapbook, that road is perfectly lined up. I love that. So now these pages are tied together. If you have the road trip border punch, you can certainly create a border to go at the bottom of the right hand page. And when you're using this, always start the pattern over here at the black mark. I'm using the blue paper because their road trip was on my husband's truck and it is blue. Now I could take this a step further and grab me some green paper, so maybe dark green cardstock or something, and I could punch again so the trees are green and the truck is blue. I'm going to call Lazy Scrapbooker on that, and I'm not going to do that because I just can't be bothered today with that. But just know that you can certainly do that and really, you know, take this up a notch. Now, what I will do is I'm going to adjust this because this is an SUV. This little vehicle here is an SUV, and they were in a truck. So I'm going to make 3 cuts on each one. Now, this is not so lazy, but it's easy. Turning it upside down here, and let me show you where the cuts are. So the cab needs to be there. So I'm going to go behind this second one right here, cut there. Then I'm going to go next to this tree and cut diagonally there. And then I'm going to come around and cut the whole cab off. So check it out. That is clearly a truck now, with 3 little cuts for each one. Very easy. We're going to go behind the cab, over here next to the tree, and then continue on and cut the whole cab off, or whatever that is, the cover of the SUV. So cut, cut, cut. And again, this is a video where I would normally be doing something like this and speeding it up and not showing so many, but some of these are a little bit different, so I definitely am going to show. Now, I probably won't need all of this. Definitely won't need those trees. Oops, got sloppy on that one. Okay, clean up here. And so this is completely optional. It does take away from some of the room you have for photos, but I'm just going to attach this here at the bottom. And this is what you would need this for, or some kind of silicone mat, or parchment paper, or wax paper. And use your repositionable tape runner so that it doesn't show through. I'm going to leave a little red at the bottom. Yay, I love that I made it a truck. And it was very easy to do, as you saw in real time. And now I'm going to just turn it over, and I can use the scissors for this. I don't need to get the trimmer back out. All right, now all we need to do is add our embellishments and your photos, and we'll be done. And done. We had extra blue and asphalt paper left over to use for our photo mats, and that's exactly what I did here. You can use any number of photos and any size photos with this layout. Once we create the base pages, you're free to do whatever you want on these. So I'll show you what I did. I used the asphalt paper to mat my journaling, my title, and then this fun photo right here. This one I did not mat because it's the same width as the journaling matted, and so I just used the green and about a 3/16, what I call a fat 1/8 border around the sides of this, so it kind of looks like it's matted. Then I came over here and I used the excess blue paper to mat just this one photo here. These I left unmatted, and then I've got a peekaboo pocket so I could put 3 photos instead of 1 here. And I love this. I used the tab punch to punch out of the blue, which is the license plate paper, and we ended up with this. I made sure to put it on in the correct orientation so that when it's like this, The license plates are, you can read them the right way. Then when you flip it up, you can still read them there. I'll attach this to the page protector once I've got a page protector on this page. I did not use anywhere near all of the embellishments. I've got a journaling pad right here that we'll journal on, and then I've got, using some foam squares, I put the Let's Hit the Road embellishment right there above the date, which is also matted in the asphalt. While these two sides are completely different, they're coordinated with the same collection, and it's this little road that ties them all together. So I hope you have so much fun creating these two pages. Once you're done, then hop over to Debbie and Nicole's videos so you can create their two pages. You'll find the links to their videos in the description of this video. Thanks for watching.